Sometimes it takes just one moment to turn your entire life upside down. Sometimes it takes just one song to remind you of what you have lost or what you never had. Martin Novak is a simple waiter. He works 6 days a week. He pours wine for wealthy people. He clears their plates. Nobody knows he can sing. Nobody suspects what gift he hides. Until the evening when everything changes. Klara Horakova sits among the guests. She is wealthy. She is alone. She has lost faith in true feelings. When Martin takes the microphone and begins to sing, the entire hall falls silent. Klara listens. Tears stream down her face. She slowly stands up. Everyone stares at her. This is a story about two people from different worlds. Their fates meet during a single song. Before we continue, write in the comments where you are watching from. Give a like if this story moved you. Tomorrow, I have something special for you. Sometimes it takes just one moment to turn your entire life upside down. Sometimes it takes just one song to remind you of what you have lost or what you never had. Martin Novak is a simple waiter. He works 6 days a week. He pours wine for wealthy people. He clears their plates. Nobody knows he can sing. Nobody suspects what gift he hides. Until the evening when everything changes. Klara Horakova sits among the guests. She is wealthy. She is alone. She has lost faith in true feelings. When Martin takes the microphone and begins to sing, the entire hall falls silent. Klara listens. Tears stream down her face. She slowly stands up. Everyone stares at her. This is a story about two people from different worlds. Their fates meet during a single song. Before we continue, write in the comments where you are watching from. Give a like if this story moved you. Tomorrow, I have something special for you. The alarm clock rings at 5:30 in the morning. Martin opens his eyes in the small bedroom. The room is cold. Winter has settled over the city. He can hear his mother coughing in the next room. He gets up quickly, wraps himself in an old sweater, and walks to her door. She is awake, sitting up in bed, her thin frame shaking with each cough. "Mother, are you all right?" he asks softly. She nods, tries to smile. "Just the cold, my boy. Do not worry about me." But Martin does worry. He worries every single day. The medical bills sit on the kitchen table in a neat pile. Each envelope carries a weight heavier than paper. His mother has been sick for 3 years now. The doctors say her lungs are weak. She needs medication, regular checkups, treatments that cost more than Martin makes in a month. He prepares her breakfast, a simple meal of warm porridge and tea. She eats slowly while he gets ready for work. His uniform hangs on the back of the door. Black trousers, white shirt, black vest, black bow tie. The uniform of invisibility. When he wears it, people look through him as if he is made of glass. He does not mind. It is easier this way. He kisses his mother on the forehead before leaving. "Be careful," she whispers. "Come home, safe." "I always do, Mother." The hotel where Martin works stands in the center of the city, like a cathedral of wealth. The Grand Riverside Hotel, 15 floors of marble and crystal, chandeliers that cost more than his entire building, carpets so thick your feet sink into them. He enters through the service door at the back, the one the guests never see. The kitchen is already alive with activity. chefs shouting orders, pans clanging, steam rising from enormous pots. Martin waves to his colleagues. There is Joseph, the old porter who has worked here for 40 years. There is Anna, the young housemaid who dreams of becoming a teacher. There is Pavel, another waiter, who jokes to hide his own struggles. They are all like Martin, people who work hard for every coin, people who serve those who will never know their names. The head waiter, Mr. Dvorak, gathers them for the morning briefing. "Tonight is important," he says sternly. "The annual winter gala. 400 guests, business leaders, politicians, celebrities. Everything must be perfect. Not a single mistake. Do you all understand?" They nod. Martin has worked dozens of these events. He knows the routine. Smile, but not too much. Be present, but invisible. Anticipate needs before they are spoken. Serve from the left, clear from the right. Never make eye contact unless addressed. Never speak unless spoken to. It is a dance he has perfected over 6 years. He thinks about his father sometimes during these long shifts. His father was different. He was a carpenter, a man who worked with his hands and sang while he worked. Martin remembers being 7 years old, sitting in the workshop, watching his father sand a piece of wood. His father would sing old folk songs, melodies passed down through generations. His voice was rich and warm, filling the workshop like sunlight. "Sing with me, Martin," his father would say. So Martin sang. His father taught him everything. How to breathe from the diaphragm, how to feel the music in your chest, how to let emotion guide the melody. They sang together in the church choir every Sunday. People in the village would stop and listen. They said Martin had a gift. They said he could become something special. But then his father died. A heart attack at 42. Sudden, unexpected, final. Martin was 13. The music died with his father. There was no money for lessons, no time for dreams. His mother had to work 2 jobs just to keep their home. Martin helped however he could. He quit school at 16 to work full-time. The singing stopped. The gift was buried beneath bills and responsibilities and the simple need to survive. Now, at 28, Martin carries that buried gift like a stone in his chest. Sometimes, late at night when his mother is asleep, he hums quietly to himself. The old melodies still live somewhere inside him, but he never sings. Not really. Not the way he used to. What is the point? Oh, dreams do not pay for medicine. Across the city, in a penthouse apartment overlooking the river, Klara Horakova wakes to a very different morning. Her bedroom is larger than Martin's entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame the dawn. Silk sheets, heated floors, everything money can buy. But she wakes with the same heaviness Martin feels. She is 32 years old and profoundly alone. Her father built the Horak industrial empire from nothing. Steel factories, shipping companies, real estate across 3 countries. When he died 2 years ago, he left everything to Klara, his only child, his heir. She did not want it. She wanted her father. But death does not negotiate. Now she sits at the head of boardrooms full of men, twice her age, who question every decision she makes. She attends endless meetings, reads reports, signs documents. She has more money than she could spend in 10 lifetimes. But she cannot remember the last time she laughed. Her assistant, Vera, brings her morning coffee. "Your schedule today, Miss Horakova. 10 o'clock meeting with the board, lunch with Minister Kral, 3 o'clock with the lawyers about the merger, and tonight, the winter gala at the Grand Riverside. Clara closes her eyes. Another gala. Another evening of forced smiles and empty conversations. Men in expensive suits who see her as a business opportunity. Women who pretend to be friends while calculating her net worth. She has attended 100 of these events. They all blur together into one long performance. "Do I have to go?" she asks, knowing the answer. "Your presence is expected," Vera says gently. "Many important people will be there." Clara nods. Of course, important people. As if importance is measured by wealth and power. As if any of it matters. Her mother understood. Her mother, Elena, who died when Clara was only 9 years old. Cancer. Quick and cruel. Clara still remembers her mother's voice, soft and kind, reading bedtime stories. Her mother was an artist, a painter who created beauty for its own sake. She did not care about money or status. She cared about sunsets and music and the way light fell through leaves. After she died, Clara's father threw himself into work. He built his empire as if he could construct a wall between himself and grief. He loved Clara in his way, but he did not know how to show it. He gave her everything except his time, everything except himself. Now they are both gone, her mother, her father, and Clara sits alone in a palace of glass and steel, wondering what the point of any of it is. She prepares for her day with mechanical efficiency. Designer suit, perfect makeup, hair styled flawlessly. The armor of success. She looks in the mirror and sees a stranger. A successful stranger. A lonely stranger. At the hotel, preparations for the gala are reaching a fever pitch. The grand ballroom is transformed into a winter wonderland. Ice sculptures, white roses, tables set with crystal and silver. A string quartet practices in hall, the corner. Martin and the other waiters move through their final checks, folding napkins into perfect swans, polishing glasses until they gleam, testing the sound system. Everything must be flawless. Mr. Dvorak is more nervous than usual. "The orchestra cancelled," he announces suddenly. "The singer they hired, the main entertainment for tonight, she is sick. We have no performance." The staff exchanges worried glances. A gala without entertainment is like a wedding without music. Incomplete. "Can we find someone else?" Pavel asks. At this hour, Mr. Dvorak shakes his head. "Everyone is booked. We will have to make do with recorded music. It is not ideal, but we have no choice." Martin says nothing. He focuses on his tasks. The doors will open in 4 hours. 400 guests will arrive expecting perfection, and he will be there, invisible in his uniform, making sure their glasses never empty and their plates are always cleared. This is his life. This is his reality. He accepted it long ago. In her office, Clara signs the last document of the day. Her hand hurts from writing her name so many times. Vera brings her a garment bag. "Your dress for tonight." Clara unzips it. Midnight blue silk. Beautiful, expensive. She will wear it, and people will compliment her, and she will thank them, and none of it will mean anything. She thinks about cancelling, about staying home, about ordering simple food and watching old movies. But she cannot. She is Clara Horakova, heiress, business leader, public figure. She has responsibilities, expectations, so she will go. She will smile. She will shake hands and make small talk. She will pretend that any of it matters. As the sun sets over the city, two lives move toward a collision neither can predict. Martin puts on his uniform one more time. Clara puts on her beautiful dress. Neither knows that in a few hours everything will change. Neither knows that a single moment can rewrite your entire story. Neither knows that sometimes the most important nights of your life start out feeling like every other night. The city grows dark. The hotel lights shine like stars. And somewhere in the space between duty and dreams, between wealth and poverty, between silence and song, destiny begins to turn its wheels. The grand ballroom fills with guests at exactly 7 o'clock. They arrive in limousines and luxury cars, women in gowns that cost more than a year of Martin's salary, men in tailored suits discussing business deals and political maneuvers. The air fills with expensive perfume and the soft murmur of wealth. Martin moves through the crowd like a shadow. He carries trays of champagne. He refills glasses. He clears empty plates. His feet already hurt, but the night has just begun. Around him, conversations float past. Stock prices, vacation homes in the South, investments in foreign markets, words that mean nothing to him. Words from a world he will never touch. Clara arrives at 8 o'clock. She walks into the ballroom and heads turn. She is stunning in her midnight blue dress, diamonds at her throat and wrists, her face perfectly composed. But her eyes are tired. Martin sees her from across the room. He does not know who she is exactly, only that she is someone important, someone who belongs here. She takes a glass of champagne from a passing tray and stands near the wall, watching the crowd with an expression he recognizes. Loneliness. Even surrounded by hundreds of people, she looks utterly alone. The evening progresses according to plan. Dinner is served in courses. Soup, salad, main course, dessert. Martin and his colleagues move in synchronized precision. Not a single mistake. Mr. Dvorak watches from the corner, his sharp eyes catching every detail. After dinner, the speeches begin. The chairman of some foundation talks about charitable giving. A politician thanks everyone for their generous support. Applause follows each speech, polite and measured. Then comes the moment for entertainment. Mr. Dvorak takes the stage, his discomfort visible. "Ladies and gentlemen," he begins, "unfortunately our scheduled performer is unable to join us tonight due to illness. However, we have prepared some recorded music for your enjoyment." A ripple of disappointment moves through the crowd. People shift in their seats. Some begin checking their phones. The gala is losing energy. In the back of the room, near the service entrance, the waiters pause in their duties. "This is embarrassing," Pavel whispers to Martin. Poor Mr. Dvorak. He looks ready to faint. Anna nods. Someone should do something. But what can we do? None of us can perform. Martin says nothing. His heart has started beating faster. An old feeling stirs in his chest. A memory of standing in front of the church congregation with his father beside him. A memory of music filling the air and people smiling. A memory of being more than invisible. Josef, the old porter, is standing nearby. He has worked at the hotel longer than anyone. He has seen Martin arrive each morning for 6 years. He has heard Martin humming softly while polishing silverware when he thought no one was listening. Joseph knows things others do not notice. Martin, Joseph says quietly, you can sing. Martin shakes his head quickly. No, that was a long time ago. You have a gift, boy. I have heard you. Joseph's voice is gentle but firm. These people need something real tonight, not recorded music. Something with a soul. I cannot, Martin says. His hands are trembling. Look at me. I am just a waiter. You are more than that, Joseph says. You have always been more than that. Pavel and Anna are listening now. Wait, Pavel says. Martin, you can really sing. Why did you never tell us? It does not matter, Martin replies. It is not my place. That is your fear talking, Joseph says. Not your truth. On the stage, Mr. Dvorak is struggling to set up the recorded music. The sound system crackles with static. People are beginning to talk among themselves, losing interest in the event entirely. In the crowd, Clara watches the awkward scene with detachment. Another disappointing gala. Another evening of nothing real. She considers leaving early. No one would miss her. She could be home in 20 minutes, out of this dress, away from all these empty faces. Then something happens. A waiter steps forward from the back of the room. He is young, perhaps late 20s, with dark hair and nervous eyes. He walks toward the stage with hesitant steps. Mr. Dvorak sees him approaching. Martin, what are you doing? Go back to your station. Please, sir, Martin says. His voice is barely audible. I can sing. What? Mr. Dvorak blinks in confusion. You can what? I can sing, Martin repeats, louder this time. If you need someone to perform, I can do it. The ballroom has gone quiet. People are staring. A waiter offering to perform. It is absurd, inappropriate, completely against protocol. Mr. Dvorak's face turns red. Martin, return to your duties immediately. This is not. Let him sing, a voice calls from the crowd. It is an older gentleman, clearly amused by the situation. What harm could it do? Let the young man try. Others murmur in agreement. Why not? It might be entertaining. At least it is something different. Mr. Dvorak looks trapped. He glances around the room, sees the expectant faces, and realizes he has no better option. Fine, he says tightly. One song. Then you return to work immediately. Do you understand? Yes, sir, Martin says. His heart is pounding so hard he can barely breathe. What has he done? Why did he step forward? It is too late now. He climbs the 3 steps onto the stage. The spotlight finds him. 400 faces turn toward him. He has never felt so exposed in his entire life. Someone hands him a microphone. It feels heavy in his hand. The room waits. Martin closes his eyes. He thinks of his father. He thinks of the workshop filled with sawdust and sunlight. He thinks of Sunday mornings in the church with the stained glass windows, casting colored light across the pews. He thinks of his mother, sick and fragile, who sacrificed everything so he could survive. He thinks of all the years he has been invisible, all the years he has hidden his gift beneath a uniform and a lowered gaze. And he begins to sing. The song is old, a traditional melody his father taught him. The words speak of longing and hope, of hard times and perseverance. His voice starts soft, uncertain, but it grows stronger with each note. The ballroom transforms. The bored expressions vanish. People stop checking their phones. They stop talking. They listen. Martin's voice fills the enormous room effortlessly. It is rich and pure, carrying emotion that cannot be faked. Every note is perfectly placed. Every word is filled with lived experience. This is not polished performance. This is truth. Clara, standing near the wall, freezes. The champagne glass slips from her hand and shatters on the floor. She does not notice. She cannot move, cannot breathe. The Tarsottomonsgut voice reaches inside her chest and touches something she thought was dead. Tears begin streaming down her face. She does not try to stop them. She does not care who sees. Around her, others are crying too. Strong men who never show emotion. Elegant women who pride themselves on composure. The song strips away all pretense. It reminds them of something real, something they have lost or forgotten. Martin sings with his eyes closed, lost in the music. He is not in the ballroom anymore. He is 13 years old again, singing beside his father. He is free. When the final note fades, silence hangs in the air for 3 full seconds. Then the room erupts. Applause thunders through the ballroom. People rise to their feet. Some are openly weeping. Others are shaking their heads in disbelief. Who is this waiter? Where did he come from? How is this possible? Clara stands slowly. Her legs are weak. She moves through the crowd without seeing anyone. She walks toward the stage. People step aside for her. They know who she is. The spotlight finds her. She climbs the steps to where Martin stands, still holding the microphone, looking stunned by what just happened. He sees her approaching and starts to step back. He recognizes her now, the sad woman from earlier. But up close, he sees she is not sad anymore. Her face is transformed. "Thank you," Clara says. Her voice breaks. "Thank you for that." Martin does not know what to say. "You are welcome," he manages. "That was the most beautiful thing I have heard in years," she tells him. "Maybe in my entire life." "Who are you?" "I am no one," Martin says automatically. "Just a waiter." "No," Clara shakes her head. "You are not just anything." "What is your name?" "Martin Novak." She extends her hand. "I am Clara Horakova." They shake hands. The touch lasts only a moment, but something passes between them. Recognition, understanding. 2 lonely people finding each other across an impossible divide. The crowd watches this exchange with fascination. The heiress and the waiter. Mr. Dvorak stands frozen, unsure whether to be angry or amazed. Joseph watches from the back of the room and smiles. He knew. He always knew Martin was meant for something more. As Clara returns to the crowd and Martin descends from the stage, neither realizes this is only the beginning. Neither knows how this moment will reshape everything that comes after. Neither understands that some songs do more than entertain. Some songs change lives. The gala continues, but everything has shifted. People surround Martin, asking questions, offering compliments. He is no longer invisible. And Clara, standing alone again near the wall, touches her face where tears dried. She feels something she has not felt in years. She feels awake. Martin returns home after midnight. His hands still shake. His mind replays the evening over and over. The walk up to the stage, the weight of the microphone, the moment his voice filled the ballroom. Clara's face, her tears, the way she looked at him like he mattered. His mother is asleep. He sits at the kitchen table in the dark. The medical bills are still there, waiting. Nothing has changed. He sang one song, and now it is over. Tomorrow he will put on his uniform again. He will serve and clear and disappear into the background. Life will continue as before. But something inside him has cracked open. The gift he buried is awake now, demanding to be heard. He cannot put it back to sleep. He does not know if he wants to. Sleep does not come easily. When he finally drifts off, he dreams of his father's workshop, the smell of wood, the sound of singing. In the morning, his mother notices something different. "You look strange," she says. "Did something happen at work?" Martin hesitates. Then he tells her. About the missing performer, about Joseph encouraging him, about walking onto that stage in front of 400 people, about singing for the first time in 15 years. His mother's eyes fill with tears. "Oh, my boy," she whispers. "Your father would be so proud." "I was terrified," Martin admits, "but also I felt alive. I felt like myself again." "You have his gift," she says. "I always knew you did. But we could never afford. It is all right, Mother." Martin takes her hand. "We did what we had to do. No regrets. But maybe," she says carefully, "maybe this is a sign. Maybe it is time to stop hiding." Martin does not answer. What would that even look like? He is 28 with no training, no connections, no path forward. One song at a gala does not change reality. At the hotel, everything has changed. When Martin arrives for his shift, the other staff members surround him. Pavel claps him on the back. "You were incredible. Why did you never tell us?" Anna hugs him. "I cried, Martin. I actually cried. Even the chefs heard about it." One of them offers Martin extra food to take home. Joseph simply nods, a knowing smile on his weathered face. Mr. Dvorak calls Martin into his office. Martin expects to be reprimanded. Instead, the head waiter looks uncomfortable, almost apologetic. "That was highly irregular," Mr. Dvorak begins. "You broke protocol. You left your station without permission." "Yes, sir," Martin says. "I apologize." However, Mr. Dvorak continues. "The hotel management was impressed, very impressed. Several guests have called this morning asking about you. One of them, Miss Horakova herself, left a message." Martin's heart skips. "What message?" "She wants to speak with you. She left her contact information." Mr. Dvorak hands Martin a business card. Expensive paper. Embossed lettering. "Clara Horakova, Chief Executive Officer, Horak Industries." A direct phone number written in elegant handwriting. "Call her during your break," Mr. Dvorak says. "And Martin, perhaps we were wrong to limit you to waiting tables. If you wish to pursue this singing, the hotel will support you. We could feature you at future events." Martin stares at the card. "This cannot be real." "Thank you, sir." He works through the morning in a daze. During his break, he stands outside the hotel, the business card in his hand. What would he even say? Why would someone like Clara Horakova want to speak to him? He almost throws the card away. Fear rises in his throat. It is easier to remain invisible. Safer. But he thinks of his mother's words. Maybe it is time to stop hiding. He dials the number. A secretary answers. Horak Industries. He almost hangs up. Instead, he says, "This is Martin Novak. Miss Horakova asked me to call. 1 moment, please." The line clicks. Music plays. Then a voice he recognizes. "Martin." Clara sounds genuinely pleased. "Thank you for calling. I was hoping you would." "Hello, Miss Horakova. Please, call me Clara." She pauses. "I know this might seem strange. We do not know each other. But your singing last night, it moved me deeply. I have not stopped thinking about it. I do not know what to say," Martin admits. "I have a proposal for you," Clara continues. "I would like to help you pursue your talent professionally. Training, connections, opportunities. You should not be hidden away, serving tables when you have a gift like that." He cannot speak. This feels like a dream. "Martin, are you there?" "I am here," he manages. "This is just, I do not understand why you would do this." "Because that song reminded me what real beauty sounds like," Clara says. "Because in a room full of people pretending to be something they are not, you were completely genuine. And because I think we both know what it is like to bury parts of ourselves." "I am just a waiter," Martin says. "I have no education, no training, no—" "You have something better than training," Clara interrupts gently. "You have soul. Everything else can be learned. Will you meet me? Let us talk properly. Not on the phone." Martin looks at the hotel entrance. His uniform, his life, everything familiar and safe. Then he thinks of the stage, the microphone, the feeling of being truly alive. "Yes," he says, "I will meet you." They arrange to meet the next day at a quiet cafe near the river. When Martin hangs up, he stands in the cold air, breathing hard. What is happening to him? Pavel finds him there. "You look like you saw a ghost." "Not a ghost," Martin says. "Maybe a future." That evening, Martin's mother asks about his day. He tells her about the phone call, about Clara's offer, about the meeting tomorrow. She takes his face in her hands. "Listen to me carefully," she says. "Your father and I, we gave up our dreams so you could survive. That was our choice, and we never regretted it. But now you have a chance, a real chance. Do not let fear stop you." "What about you?" Martin asks. "Your medicine, the bills, everything." "We will manage," she says firmly. "We always have. This is more important." "But—" "No," she says. "I am your mother. I am telling you to do this. Go meet this woman. See what is possible. If you do not, you will spend the rest of your life wondering." That night, Martin cannot sleep. He lies awake, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow, everything might change. Or nothing will change. He does not know which frightens him more. Across the city, Clara sits in her penthouse. She has dismissed Vera early. She wants to be alone. The conversation with Martin plays in her mind. His hesitation, his disbelief. She understands it. When you have been invisible for long enough, being seen feels dangerous. She wonders if she is doing the right thing. She barely knows this man. But something about his voice, about the raw honesty in it, touched something in her that has been dormant for years. After her mother died, Clara learned to protect herself by feeling nothing. Emotion was weakness. Vulnerability was dangerous. She built walls so high that nothing could reach her. Her father taught her that by example. Work was safe. Money was safe. Power was safe. But that song broke through her walls like they were made of paper. For those few minutes, she felt everything: joy and sorrow, hope and loss. She felt human again. She wants to feel that way more often. And she wants to help the person who gave her that gift. Is that selfish? Maybe. But she does not care. Tomorrow, she will meet Martin Novak properly. She will make him an offer that could change his life. And maybe, just maybe, it will change hers, too. The city sleeps. Two people lie awake in separate worlds. Tomorrow, those worlds will begin to touch. Tomorrow, the real story begins. The cafe sits on a quiet street overlooking the river. Martin arrives 15 minutes early. He wears his only good jacket, dark blue and slightly worn at the elbows. His shoes are polished. He has combed his hair 3 times. He orders coffee he cannot afford and sits at a corner table, watching the door. When Clara enters, she is different from the woman at the gala. No expensive gown, no diamonds. She wears simple dark pants and a cream sweater. Her hair is pulled back. She looks younger, more relaxed. She sees him and smiles. That smile does something to his chest. "Thank you for coming," she says, sitting across from him. She orders tea. They sit in awkward silence for a moment. "I was not sure you would actually show up," Clara admits. "I almost did not," Martin says honestly. "This feels unreal, like it is happening to someone else." "I understand that feeling," she replies. "Sometimes life surprises us when we least expect it." They talk carefully at first. Small topics: the weather, the cafe, the river outside. Then Clara leans forward. "Tell me about yourself, Martin. Not the waiter. The person. Who are you really?" Martin does not know where to begin. He tells her about his father, the carpenter who sang, the workshop filled with music. He tells her about losing him at 13, about his mother's illness, about quitting school to work, about the years that disappeared into survival. "I buried the singing," he says. "It hurt too much to remember. But the other night, something broke open. I could not keep it buried anymore." "What do you want?" Clara asks. "If anything were possible. If money and circumstance did not matter. What would you choose?" Martin thinks carefully. "I want to sing," he says quietly. "Not for fame or money. I want to sing because it is the only time I feel like my father is still with me. It is the only time I feel whole." Clara nods slowly. "I lost my mother when I was 9. Cancer. After she died, my father shut down. He gave me everything except himself. I learned to bury my feelings just like you buried your singing. We became experts at hiding," Martin says. "Yes," Clara agrees, "and we both forgot what it feels like to be fully alive." "Until that night at the gala," Martin adds. "Until you sang," Clara says. "And I remembered." She explains her idea. She knows people in the music industry, producers, vocal coaches, managers. She can arrange proper training for Martin. Voice lessons, performance coaching, opportunities to sing at events, to build a reputation. This will take time, she says. Maybe a year or more. You cannot quit your job immediately. But we can start slowly. Evening lessons, weekend performances, gradually building toward something bigger. Why would you do this for me? Martin asks. We are strangers. Are we, though? Clara says. I feel like I have known you longer than most people in my life. That song told me more about you than 1,000 conversations could. Martin wants to believe her. But doubt creeps in. What if I fail? What if I am not good enough? What if this is a mistake? What if you succeed? Clara counters. What if you are exactly as good as I think you are? What if this is the beginning of something extraordinary? They talk for 2 hours. The coffee grows cold. The cafe fills and empties around them. Martin learns that Clara paints in secret, that she hides canvases in a locked room in her penthouse because she is afraid people will judge her, that she inherited a fortune but would trade it all for one more day with her mother. Clara learns that Martin reads poetry, that he memorizes verses and recites them to his mother when she cannot sleep, that he dreams of traveling but has never left the city, that he is terrified of wanting too much. By the time they leave, something has shifted between them. They are no longer strangers. They are not quite friends yet. But they are something. 2 people who recognize each other's loneliness. The next week passes in a blur. Clara arranges for Martin to meet a vocal coach named Professor Heiress. He is an old man, 70 at least, who has trained opera singers and concert performers for 40 years. He listens to Martin sing scales in a dusty studio. He watches Martin's breathing, his posture, his technique. After 30 minutes, Professor Heiress speaks. You have natural talent, exceptional natural talent, but you are untrained. Your breathing is inconsistent. Your range is limited. Your technique needs serious work. Martin's heart sinks. So I am not good enough. I did not say that, Professor Heiress replies. I said you need work. There is a difference. Raw talent, without training, is like a diamond in the rough. It has value, but it needs polishing. Are you willing to work? Yes, Martin says. How hard? As hard as necessary. Professor Heiress smiles for the first time. Then we begin tomorrow. Lessons are twice a week. Evenings after Martin finishes his shift at the hotel. He arrives exhausted. His feet hurt. His back aches. But the moment he starts singing, everything else fades away. Professor Heiress is demanding. He corrects every note, every breath, every movement. Again, he says constantly. You are rushing. Again. Your posture is collapsing. Again. Support from the diaphragm. Again. Martin wants to please him, to prove he is worthy of this chance. But some days he feels like he is moving backward instead of forward. This is harder than I thought, Martin admits to Clara during their second meeting. She has started joining him for coffee after his lessons. Good, Clara says. Nothing worth having comes easily. You sound like Professor Heiress, Martin laughs. She smiles. How is your mother? Better, Martin says. I used some of my savings to buy her better medicine. She is coughing less. The bills. I will manage them, Martin says quickly. You do not need to. I want to help, Clara interrupts. Not with money. Not yet. But I have connections. I can get her into a better clinic. Specialists who owe me favors. Martin stares at her. Why? Why are you doing all this? Because I can, Clara says simply, and because no one did it for me when I needed it. Let me help. It is hard for Martin to accept help. He has spent his entire life being self-sufficient, needing nothing from anyone. But he thinks of his mother, her cough, her pain. His pride is not more important than her health. All right, he says. Thank you. They begin spending more time together. Not formally, not intentionally. It just happens. After lessons, they walk along the river. They talk about everything and nothing. Music, art, books, dreams they abandoned, hopes they are afraid to voice. Martin tells her about the workshop, the smell of sawdust, his father's laugh. Clara tells him about her mother's paintings, the way she mixed colors, the light in her studio. They are both reaching into the past, trying to find pieces of themselves they lost. One evening, Clara takes Martin to her penthouse. She has never brought anyone there before. It is too personal, too revealing. But she wants to show him something. They take the elevator to the top floor. The apartment is enormous. Martin tries not to stare, but everything is so far beyond his world. The view alone is breathtaking. She leads him to a locked door. "This is my mother's studio," she says. "I kept it exactly as she left it." When she opens the door, Martin sees canvases everywhere. Paintings of landscapes, of people, of abstract shapes and colors. They are beautiful, raw and honest and full of life. "Your mother was talented," Martin says softly. "She was," Clara agrees. "And I have her paintings locked away where no one can see them, just like you locked away your singing." "We are both afraid," Martin says. Terrified, Clara admits. They stand in the studio surrounded by art and memory. Two people who have spent years hiding. Two people who are slowly learning to be seen. "What if we tried being brave together?" Martin says. "What if we stopped hiding?" Clara looks at him. In the soft light of the studio, she looks younger, more vulnerable. "I would like that," she says. They shake hands, a formal gesture that makes them both laugh. "A deal, then," Martin says. "No more hiding." "No more hiding," Clara agrees. Outside, the city lights shine like promises. Inside, two people make a pact to stop being afraid. They do not know how hard it will be. They do not know what obstacles wait ahead. But for now, in this moment, they have hope. And sometimes, hope is enough to start. 3 months pass. Winter turns to early spring. The city sheds its snow and begins to bloom. Martin's life splits into 2 worlds. By day, he is still a waiter at the Grand Riverside Hotel. He serves meals, clears plates, remains politely invisible. But 3 evenings each week, he transforms. He goes to Professor Heiress's studio and becomes a student again, a singer. Someone with potential and purpose. The lessons are grueling. Professor Heiress pushes him harder each week. "Your breathing is lazy," the old teacher says. "You cannot be lazy with breath. It is the foundation of everything." Again. Martin repeats the exercise. His lungs burn, his throat aches, but his range is expanding. His control is improving. He can hear the difference. "Better," Professor Heiress says, "but still not good enough." "When will it be good enough?" Martin asks, frustrated. "When you stop asking that question," the professor replies. When you sing for the joy of it, not for approval, that is when you will be ready. Martin does not understand yet. But he keeps working. He practices at home, softly, so the neighbors do not complain. His mother listens from her bed, smiling. "You sound more like your father every day," she tells him. Her health has improved since Clara arranged for the new clinic. The specialists found better treatments. The coughing has decreased. She has color in her cheeks again. "This woman who is helping you," his mother says one evening. "Tell me about her." "She is kind," Martin says carefully. "She understands things without me having to explain." His mother watches him with knowing eyes. "You care for her?" "As a friend," Martin says quickly. "She is from a different world, Mother. She is wealthy, powerful. I am nobody." "You are not nobody," his mother says firmly. "Never say that again." But even as Martin protests, he knows his feelings are growing more complicated. He looks forward to seeing Clara. Their coffee meetings have become routine. Twice a week, they sit in the same cafe and talk for hours. She tells him about board meetings that bore her, about business decisions she questions, about feeling trapped in a life she inherited but never chose. He tells her about difficult customers at the hotel, about Yosef's wisdom, about small moments of beauty he notices, a child laughing, morning light through windows, the first flowers of spring. They are getting to know each other in ways that go beyond surface conversation. Clara learns that Martin is thoughtful and observant, that he notices details others miss, that he has a quiet strength born from years of endurance. Martin learns that Clara is lonelier than he imagined, that wealth has isolated her more than poverty ever isolated him, that she is funny and self-deprecating when she lets her guard down. One afternoon, Clara invites Martin to a gallery opening, a charity event for the arts. She needs a companion, and most of the men who offer are only interested in her money or connections. "I do not belong at something like that," Martin says. "Yes, you do," Clara replies. "You belong anywhere I say you belong." He borrows a suit from Pavel. It fits poorly, but it will have to do. When he arrives at the gallery, he feels completely out of place. Everyone is dressed immaculately. They discuss art with practiced sophistication. They know which wines are acceptable and which are not. Martin stands near a sculpture, trying to blend into the background. Then Clara appears beside him. "You look terrified," she observes. "I am," he admits. "These people, this world, I do not know how to navigate it." "Neither do I," Clara says. "I was born into it, but I never learned to love it. They are performing, all of them, just like you performed being invisible at the hotel." "What do you mean?" "You made yourself small so people would not see you," Clara explains. "They make themselves large so people will not see them either. It is the same hiding, different method." Martin looks around the room with new understanding. She is right. Everyone here is wearing a mask. Money and status and carefully constructed personas. No one is real. "You see through people," Martin says. "It is a gift or a curse," Clara replies. "Sometimes I wish I could just enjoy surfaces, but I always see what is underneath." They walk through the gallery together. The art is interesting. Some pieces move Martin deeply. Others leave him confused. He does not pretend to understand everything. Clara appreciates his honesty. An older man approaches them. Victor Stern, a prominent music producer. He recognizes Clara immediately. "Miss Horakova, what a pleasure." He kisses her hand with practiced charm. "And who is this?" "This is Martin Novak," Clara says. He is a singer. Stern's interest sharpens. A singer. What type? He has the most extraordinary voice, Clara says. Classical training, but with soul. You should hear him. I would love to, Stern says. He hands Martin a business card. Call my office. We are always looking for new talent. After he walks away, Martin stares at the card. Victor Stern Productions, one of the biggest names in the industry. Did that just happen? He asks. It did, Clara smiles. See, you do belong here. But as the evening continues, Martin notices something troubling. Men approach Clara constantly. They flirt, obviously. They stand too close. They touch her arm or shoulder with casual presumption. She handles it gracefully, but Martin sees the discomfort in her eyes. One man in particular, Daniel Kroll, is persistent. He is young, perhaps 35, handsome and wealthy, son of a government minister. He has known Clara for years. Clara, you look stunning tonight, Daniel says. His smile is too bright, too perfect. Thank you, Daniel. I was thinking perhaps we could have dinner next week. Just the two of us. We could discuss the merger your company is considering. I am quite busy, Clara says politely. Surely you can make time, Daniel presses. We have so much to catch up on. Clara glances at Martin, a silent plea for help. Actually, Martin says, surprising himself, Clara and I have plans next week. Daniel looks at Martin as if noticing him for the first time. And you are? A friend, Martin says, a close friend. Daniel's eyes narrow. I see. Well, perhaps another time then, Clara. He walks away, but the look he gives Martin is cold, pure dismissal. You did not have to do that, Clara says quietly. Yes, I did, Martin replies. He was making you uncomfortable. Daniel has been pursuing me for 2 years, Clara explains. He thinks we would make a suitable match. Our families, our businesses. He sees it as a logical merger. What do you see it as? Martin asks. A prison, Clara says simply. They leave the gallery shortly after. Outside, the spring air is cool and fresh. They walk along the river in comfortable silence. Thank you, Clara says eventually. For what? For seeing me, she says. Really seeing me. Not my money, or my name, or what I can do for you. Just me. You do the same for me, Martin points out. Maybe that is why we understand each other. They stop at a bench overlooking the water. The city lights reflect on the surface, dancing and shimmering. Can I ask you something? Martin says. Of course. Why did you really decide to help me? You could sponsor anyone. Why a waiter with no credentials? Clara thinks carefully before answering. When you sang that night, she says slowly, I felt something I had not felt since my mother died. Hope. Real hope. Not the forced optimism people perform, but genuine belief that beauty still exists in the world. I wanted to be near that feeling, and I wanted to help the person who gave it to me. That is the most honest thing anyone has ever said to me, Martin tells her. I am trying to be more honest, Clara says. It is harder than I expected. They sit together, watching the river flow past. Two people from different worlds, learning to exist in the same space. Martin knows he is falling for her. He has known for weeks. But the distance between them feels impossible. She is an heiress. He is a waiter. This is not a fairy tale. Real life does not work that way. And yet, when she looks at him, he feels seen in a way he has never experienced. When he makes her laugh, her whole face transforms. When they talk, hours disappear like minutes. Maybe real life does not work that way. Or maybe sometimes it does. Spring continues its arrival. Flowers bloom. Days grow longer. And two people sit by a river, not quite ready to name what is growing between them, but unable to deny it either. The water flows, the city breathes, and somewhere in the space between what is and what could be, possibility takes root. Professor Heiress announces that Martin is ready for his first real performance, not a spontaneous moment at a gala, but a planned concert, small venue, intimate audience, a test to see if he can handle the pressure. "I do not know if I am ready," Martin says. "You are never ready," the professor replies. "You simply do it anyway. That is how you learn." The performance is scheduled for 3 weeks away, a cultural center in the old part of the city. Clara helps arrange everything. She handles the logistics with quiet efficiency. Tickets, promotion, technical requirements. She never makes Martin feel like a charity case. She presents it as a partnership. But tension is building in other parts of Martin's life. At the hotel, rumors are spreading. The staff knows about his singing lessons. They know about his friendship with Klara Horakova. Some are supportive. Josef and Anna and Pavel cheer him on. Others are less kind. "He thinks he is better than us now," one waiter mutters. "Dating a rich woman, imagining he will become famous." Martin tries to ignore the gossip, but it stings. He never wanted to separate himself from his colleagues. They are his people, his world. Mr. Dvorak calls him into the office again. "Martin, I need to ask you something directly. What are your intentions?" "My intentions," Martin repeats, confused. "With your singing, with Miss Horakova. Are you planning to leave the hotel?" "I do not know," Martin says honestly. "I am taking things one step at a time." Mr. Dvorak nods slowly. "I understand. But I need reliable staff. If you are going to leave, I need advance notice." "Of course," Martin says. "I would never leave you without proper warning." "Good," Mr. Dvorak says. But there is concern in his eyes. Concern that Martin might be reaching for something that will ultimately disappoint him. That night, Martin's mother asks about the upcoming performance. She wants to attend, but her health is still fragile. "I will be fine here," she insists. "You go sing. Make your father proud." "I want you there," Martin says. "You are my reason for everything. We will make sure you are comfortable." Clara arranges for a car to bring Martin's mother to the venue. A wheelchair if needed. Special seating. Every accommodation. His mother cries when Martin tells her. "This woman loves you," she says simply. "Mother," Martin protests, "it is not like that." "Is it not?" his mother asks. "The way you talk about her, the way your face changes when you mention her name. I see it even if you do not." "It does not matter," Martin says. "She is from a different world. Love does not care about worlds," his mother says. But Martin is not so sure. He has seen how people look at him when he is with Clara. The judgment, the assumption that he is using her. He has heard the whispers. The next time he meets Clara for coffee, he brings it up. "People are talking," he says, "about us." "What are they saying?" Clara asks calmly. "That I am using you. that I am trying to climb above my station, that this will end badly. Clara sets down her cup. Do you care what they think? I care that it might hurt you, Martin says. Your reputation, your business relationships. Maybe we should be more careful. More careful, Clara repeats. You mean more distant? I mean... Martin struggles for words. Maybe we should not be seen together so often. People will talk less if you hide, Clara finishes. If we both hide again. That is not what I meant. Is it not? Clara says. She is not angry, just sad. We made a deal, Martin. No more hiding. I know, but you are afraid, Clara says gently. I understand. I am afraid too. Of what? Martin asks. Of caring too much, she admits. Of losing someone again. Everyone I have ever loved has left me. My mother died. My father became a stranger. I built walls so high that nothing could reach me. Then you sang, and those walls cracked. Now I am terrified that you will leave too. I am not going anywhere, Martin says. Are you sure? Clara asks. Because it sounds like you are already planning your exit, protecting yourself by pushing me away before I can hurt you. Maybe I am, Martin admits. His voice is barely audible. Maybe I am terrified that one day you will realize I am just a waiter with a decent voice, that I am not worth all this trouble, that you deserve someone from your own world. They sit in silence. Other customers move around them. The cafe continues its normal rhythm. But between Martin and Clara, everything has shifted. I do not want someone from my own world, Clara says finally. I have met 1,000 men from my world. They bore me. They see a business opportunity, not a person. You see me, Martin. The real me, that is worth more than any pedigree or bank account. What are we doing? Martin asks. This friendship, these meetings. What is this really? I do not know, Clara says honestly. But I know I am happier when I am with you than I have been in years. Does that frighten you? Yes, Martin admits. Terrifies me. Me too, Clara says. So what do we do? We keep going, Clara decides. We stop worrying about what other people think. We stop trying to define this or control it. We just let it be what it is. Can we do that? Martin asks. We can try, Clara says. She reaches across the table and takes his hand. A simple gesture. A brave gesture. Martin looks at their joined hands. Her fingers are elegant, soft. His are rough from work. The contrast is obvious, but somehow they fit. All right, he says. No more hiding. No more hiding, she agrees. The days until the Heiress performance shrink away. Martin rehearses obsessively. Professor Mares fine-tunes every detail. Repertoire, staging, pacing. You are overthinking, the professor says. Sing from here. He taps Martin's chest. Not from here. He taps Martin's head. Let the emotion lead. The technique will follow. But Martin cannot quiet his mind. This is different from the Gala. That was spontaneous, unexpected. This is planned. People are buying tickets. They have expectations. What if he fails? What if his voice cracks? What if the magic of that first night was just luck and cannot be repeated? Clara senses his anxiety. She takes him to her mother's studio again. They sit among the paintings. Look at these, Clara says. My mother painted for years. Some of these are brilliant. Some are mediocre. Some are honestly terrible. But she kept painting because the act itself brought her joy. She did not paint for approval. She painted because she had to. Your voice is the same, Clara continues. You do not sing for approval. You sing because it is part of who you are. Trust that. Martin looks at a painting of a sunrise. The colors are bold, almost aggressive. But there is something honest about it, something unafraid. I wish I had your mother's courage, he says. You do, Clara tells him. You just do not realize it yet. You walked onto that stage at the Gala when you could have stayed invisible. You called me even though you were terrified. You are learning to sing again after 15 years of silence. That is courage. The night before the performance, Martin cannot sleep. He lies in bed, listening to his mother's quiet breathing in the next room. His throat feels tight. His hands shake. He thinks about his father. What would he say right now? Probably something simple. Something about doing your best and letting go of the rest. About singing because you love it, not because you want to impress anyone. Martin gets up and goes to the window. The city is dark except for scattered lights. Somewhere out there, Clara is probably awake too. Probably worried about him. Probably hoping he succeeds. He thinks about the moment they held hands in the cafe. The warmth of her skin. The way she looked at him without judgment or expectation. Just acceptance. He realizes something. He is not doing this performance for fame or money, or even to honor his father's memory. He is doing it because for the first time in his adult life, he feels like he matters, like his voice has value, like he is more than invisible. Clara gave him that. Not through money or connections, but by seeing him, really seeing him. And whether he succeeds or fails tomorrow night, that gift is already enough. The sun rises slowly. Martin watches the light spread across the city. Today is the day. Today, he stops hiding completely. Today, he finds out what happens when you let yourself be fully seen. His mother wakes and finds him at the window. Are you ready? She asks. No, Martin says. But I am going to do it anyway. She smiles. That is exactly what your father would have said. They have breakfast together. Toast and tea. Nothing fancy. But it feels sacred somehow. The last quiet moment before everything changes. Outside, the city wakes. People begin their day. Most of them do not know that tonight, in a small cultural center in the old quarter, a waiter named Martin Novak will step onto a stage and sing. They do not know that his voice will carry years of silence and loss and hope. They do not know that in the audience, a woman named Clara Horakova will listen with her whole heart. But it will happen, and nothing will ever be the same again. The cultural center is modest but beautiful. Old stone walls and wooden beams, seating for 200 people, a simple stage with warm lighting. Martin arrives 3 hours early. Professor Heiress is already there, checking acoustics and sight lines. The sound crew runs tests. Everything echoes in the empty space. Your mother is settled. Clara appears beside him. She arranged a comfortable seat near the front with easy access. A nurse is with her in case she needs anything. Thank you, Martin says, for everything. Save your thanks for after the performance, Clara says. But she is smiling. She believes in him. He can see it in her eyes. The hours crawl past. Martin warms up backstage. Scales and breathing exercises. His voice feels strong, but his nerves are like live wires. People begin arriving at 7 o'clock. Martin watches from behind the curtain. He recognizes faces from the hotel. Josef is there with Anna and Pavel. Some of the kitchen staff came too. They wave at each other across the room. There are strangers as well. People who saw the advertisements. Music lovers. Curious attendees. The seats fill slowly. At 7:25, something unexpected happens. A group of expensively dressed people enters. Martin recognizes some of them from the Gala. Business associates of Clara's. But at the center of the group is Daniel Kral, the man who has been pursuing Clara. He is smiling that too perfect smile. Martin's stomach tightens. Why is he here? Clara sees Daniel too. Martin watches her expression change. She did not invite him. That much is clear. Daniel walks directly to her. Clara, what a surprise to see you here. Is it? Clara says coolly. You knew I would be attending. I did not realize you were interested in supporting unknown singers, Daniel says. His tone is pleasant, but there is an edge to it. Unless there is another reason you are here. I support talent wherever I find it, Clara replies. Daniel glances toward the stage. This waiter friend of yours, Martin something. He must be quite talented to warrant your personal attention. His name is Martin Novak, Clara says. And yes, he is exceptionally talented. I am sure, Daniel says. The implication hangs in the air. He does not believe talent is the real reason for Clara's interest. Before Clara can respond, Daniel continues. Actually, I have some business to discuss with you. About your father. What about my father? Clara asks. Daniel leans closer, lowering his voice. Perhaps we should speak privately. This is not the time or place, Clara says firmly. I think you will want to hear this, Daniel insists. It concerns certain financial irregularities in the Horak Industries accounts, irregularities that trace back to your father's final year. Clara goes pale. What are you talking about? Backstage, Martin can see something is wrong. Clara's body language has changed completely. She looks shaken. Professor Heiress appears beside Martin. 5 minutes until curtain. Are you ready? Martin tears his attention away from Clara. Yes, I am ready. But he is not ready. Not anymore. His focus has shattered. What is Daniel saying to her? Why does she look so upset? The lights dim. The audience settles. Professor Heiress gives Martin a final nod of encouragement. This is it. Martin walks onto the stage. The spotlight finds him. 200 faces turn toward him. He sees his mother in the front row, beaming with pride. He sees Josef and Pavel and Anna. He sees Clara, still talking tensely with Daniel. She looks up. Their eyes meet. She tries to smile, but it does not reach her eyes. Something is very wrong. Martin picks up the microphone. Welcome, he says. His voice sounds steadier than he feels. Thank you all for coming tonight. I am going to sing some songs that mean a great deal to me. I hope they speak to you as well. The pianist begins the introduction. Martin takes a breath. He starts to sing. The first song is a traditional folk melody, the same type his father used to sing. His voice fills the space, warm and clear. The audience responds immediately. People lean forward. The room becomes still. Martin finds his rhythm. The nervousness fades. This is what he was born to do. He moves through the first 3 songs smoothly. Each one builds on the last. The emotion deepens. He can feel the connection with the audience. They are with him. But between songs, during the applause, he looks for Clara. She is no longer in her seat. He scans the room. She is standing near the back, still talking with Daniel. Her expression is troubled, distressed even. Martin tries to refocus. The 4th song is more challenging. Higher range, more technical demands. He closes his eyes and concentrates. The notes come out perfectly. The audience erupts in applause. When he opens his eyes again, Clara is gone. Daniel is gone too. Martin's concentration fractures. Where did they go? What is happening? He introduces the 5th song, but his mind is elsewhere. Halfway through, he falters. Just for a moment. A note that comes out slightly sharp. He corrects quickly, but the damage is done. His confidence wavers. Professor Heiress watches from the wings, concerned. Martin pushes through the rest of the performance. The final 3 songs are adequate, but not exceptional. The magic from the beginning has faded. When he finishes, the applause is warm, but not overwhelming. People enjoyed it, but it was not the transcendent experience they hoped for. Martin bows, thanks the audience, and walks off stage. His mother is crying with happiness. She does not notice the inconsistency. To her, he was perfect. Joseph and the others rush to congratulate him. "You were wonderful," Anna says. Pavel claps him on the back. Professor Heiress is more measured. The first half was excellent. The second half, you lost focus. What happened? "I do not know," Martin lies. He knows exactly what happened. Where is Clara? He searches the venue. She is not in the main hall. He finds her outside, standing in the cool night air. Daniel is with her, speaking urgently. When Martin approaches, Daniel stops talking. Clara's face is streaked with tears. "What is going on?" Martin asks. Clara cannot seem to speak. Daniel answers for her. "I was just explaining to Miss Horakova that her father, the late Mr. Horak, may have engaged in some questionable financial practices before his death, practices that could expose the company to serious legal trouble." "That is a lie," Clara says, her voice breaking. "My father was honest. He would never—" "I have documents," Daniel says calmly. He pulls out a folder. Bank transfers, offshore accounts, payments that appear to be bribes to government officials, all signed by your father. "Let me see those," Martin says. Daniel holds the folder away. "This is a private business matter. It does not concern you. It concerns Clara, so it concerns me," Martin says. Daniel's expression hardens. "You need to understand your place, waiter. This is far beyond your comprehension." "Do not speak to him that way," Clara says. Daniel ignores her, focusing on Martin. "You think you can play in our world. You think because you can sing a few songs and charm a lonely heiress, you belong here. But you do not. You never will. And when this little fantasy ends, you will go back to serving tables, and Clara will move on to someone appropriate." "That is enough," Clara says firmly. "Daniel, leave, now." "I am trying to help you," Daniel says to her. "These documents could destroy your company, your father's legacy, everything. But I can make this go away. Quietly, discreetly, if you are willing to cooperate." "What do you mean, cooperate?" Clara asks. "Marry me," Daniel says simply. "Merge our families, our companies. With my family's political connections, these documents disappear. Your father's reputation remains intact. Everyone wins. You are blackmailing her, Martin says, anger rising in his chest. I am offering a solution, Daniel corrects. A mutually beneficial arrangement. Martin looks at Clara. She is trapped, torn between protecting her father's memory and her own freedom. This cannot be real, she whispers. My father would never do this. People do strange things under pressure, Daniel says. Your father was facing financial difficulties in his final year. Perhaps he made choices he regretted. I need time, Clara says, to verify these documents. To speak with my lawyers. Of course, Daniel says smoothly. Take a week. But after that, I will have no choice but to turn these over to the authorities. And the media. Imagine the scandal. Horak Industries, built on corruption. Your father's legacy destroyed. Is that what you want? He walks away, leaving Clara and Martin standing in the darkness. Clara collapses onto a bench. She is shaking. This cannot be happening. Not tonight. Not like this. Martin sits beside her, taking her hand. We will figure this out. Those documents, they could be forgeries. They looked real, Clara says. The signatures, the dates, everything matches my father's records. Even if they are real, there has to be an explanation, Martin insists. Maybe Daniel is lying about what they mean. Or maybe my father was not the man I thought he was, Clara says bitterly. Maybe I have been defending a fantasy. You do not believe that. I do not know what I believe anymore, Clara says. She looks at Martin. I am sorry. Tonight was supposed to be your night, your triumph, and I ruined it. You did not ruin anything, Martin says. Daniel did. But she is not listening. Everything is falling apart. My father's reputation, my company, my ability to help you. Daniel is right about one thing. I do not belong in your world. Without my company, without my money, what am I? You are Clara, Martin says. That is enough. But he can see she does not believe him. The revelation about her father has shaken everything she thought she knew. And in that moment, Martin realizes the real twist. This was never just about helping him sing. Clara was trying to create something pure and good to balance against the corruption and compromise of her business world. She was trying to prove that beauty and authenticity still mattered. Now Daniel has poisoned that, too. Shown her that even her father, the man she admired most, might have been compromised. Martin holds her while she cries. Around them, people exit the venue, chattering about the performance. His mother is wheeled past, smiling, unaware of the drama. Joseph waves goodbye. The night continues. But for Clara and Martin, everything has changed. A single folder of documents has rewritten their reality, and neither knows how to move forward from here. The week after the performance passes in a blur of tension and uncertainty. Clara retreats into herself. She cancels their coffee meetings. She stops answering Martin's calls. When he finally reaches her assistant, Vera, the message is clear. Miss Horakova needs space to deal with family matters. Martin feels the distance like a physical wound. He replays their last conversation over and over. The way she looked at him with such devastation. The way she apologized for ruining his night. He wants to help, but does not know how. At the hotel, he goes through the motions, serving meals, clearing tables. But his heart is not in it. Joseph notices. "She will come back," the old porter says. "When she is ready." "What if she does not?" Martin asks. "What if Daniel convinces her to marry him?" "Then she was never yours to begin with," Joseph says gently. "But I do not believe that will happen. That woman loves you. Even a blind man could see it." Martin wants to believe him, but doubt gnaws at him. Maybe Daniel was right. Maybe he does not belong in Clara's world. Maybe this whole thing was a mistake from the beginning. Professor Heiress calls Martin to the studio. They need to discuss future performances. Victor Stern, the producer from the gallery, wants to meet. There is interest in Martin's voice. Opportunities are opening. But when Martin arrives, the professor sees his face and sets aside the business talk. "Tell me what is wrong." Martin explains everything. Daniel's threats, the documents about Clara's father, her withdrawal, the impossible choice she faces. The professor listens carefully. Then he says something unexpected. "This is not really about her father's reputation." "What do you mean?" Martin asks. "This is about control," Professor Heiress explains. "Daniel wants Clara, not for love, but for power. Her company, her connections, her influence. By threatening her father's legacy, he attacks the thing she values most. It is manipulation." "But the documents might be real," Martin says. "Perhaps," the professor agrees. "Or perhaps they are taken out of context, or forged, or real, but with innocent explanations. The point is, Daniel is using her fear and grief as weapons." "What can I do?" Martin asks. "Help her see clearly," Professor Heiress says. "She is too close to the situation, too emotional. She needs someone who can think rationally, someone who loves her enough to fight for the truth." Martin goes home that night with a new determination. He cannot let Daniel win. Not like this. He starts researching. He knows nothing about corporate finance or legal documents, but he knows people, and he knows how to ask questions. He contacts an old friend from school who works as a clerk in a law office. He explains the situation vaguely, without names. If someone wanted to forge financial documents, how would they do it? What should you look for? His friend explains watermarks, signature analysis, date stamps, corroborating evidence. It would be difficult, but not impossible, to create convincing forgeries, especially if you had access to original documents to copy. Martin realizes Daniel would have had that access. His father is a government minister. He moves in the same circles as Clara's father did. He could have obtained legitimate documents and altered them, or taken real transactions and framed them falsely. But Martin needs proof. He needs to see the actual documents. 3 days after the performance, Clara finally calls him. Her voice sounds hollow. "Martin, I need to tell you something." "I am listening," he says. "I have decided to accept Daniel's proposal. We will announce our engagement next month. The merger will proceed. My father's reputation will be protected." "No," Martin says immediately. "You cannot do this." "I have to," Clara says. "There is no other choice." "There is always another choice," Martin argues. "Fight back. Investigate the documents. Hire lawyers. Do not let him blackmail you into this." "It is not that simple," Clara says. "The scandal alone would destroy everything my father built. Even if we eventually prove the documents are false, the damage would be done." "Better to make a strategic marriage," Martin says bitterly. "Better to sacrifice your happiness for business. You do not understand, Clara says. Her voice cracks. This is my responsibility, my burden. I cannot drag you into this mess. I am already in it, Martin tells her. I care about you more than I have ever cared about anyone. And I am not going to stand by while Daniel manipulates you. It is not your decision to make, Clara says quietly. I have made up my mind. Then unmake it, Martin pleads. Give me 1 week. Let me investigate. Let me try to find the truth. Martin, you are a singer, not a detective. What can you possibly do that my lawyers cannot? I can do what they cannot, Martin says. I can refuse to give up on you. The line goes quiet. He thinks she has hung up. Then she speaks, so softly he almost cannot hear. 1 week. But after that, you need to accept my decision. I will prove Daniel is lying, Martin promises. I will prove your father was innocent. And I will prove that you do not have to sacrifice yourself to protect his memory. He hangs up before she can argue further. 1 week. 7 days to uncover the truth. He has no idea where to start, but he cannot fail. Joseph helps him. The old porter has connections throughout the city. People who owe him favors. People who know people. We need information about Daniel Kroll, Martin explains. His finances, his activities, anything suspicious. Joseph makes calls. He speaks in quiet voices to people Martin never sees. Within 2 days, patterns emerge. Daniel has been spending significant money recently. Large payments to a private investigator, to a document specialist, to offshore accounts. Why would he need a document specialist? Martin asks. Unless he was creating documents, Joseph suggests, or altering them. They need more than suspicions. They need evidence. Martin remembers the folder Daniel showed Clara. If they could get access to those documents, a real expert could analyze them. Determine if they are authentic. But how can they get the folder? Daniel would never willingly share it. Pavel, Martin's fellow waiter, has an idea. Daniel Kroll dines at the hotel regularly. Private room. Always on Thursday evenings. Business meetings. What if we could access his belongings during dinner? That is theft, Martin says. That is investigation, Pavel corrects. And if the documents are fake, you would be preventing a crime, not committing one. Martin knows this is dangerous. If they are caught, he could lose his job, possibly face legal charges. But if they do nothing, Clara will marry Daniel. She will spend her life trapped in a loveless arrangement. The choice is not really a choice at all. Thursday arrives. Daniel reserves his usual private room. Martin and Pavel work the dinner service. Daniel arrives with 3 business associates. They order expensive wine and discuss some development project. Martin serves them, invisible as always. Daniel does not even look at him. During the meal, Daniel excuses himself to use the restroom. His briefcase remains in the room. Pavel creates a distraction, spilling water near the table. While the associates are focused on the mess, Martin opens the briefcase. His hands shake violently. The folder is there. He pulls it out, tucks it inside his vest. The entire action takes 10 seconds. 10 seconds that feel like an eternity. When Daniel returns, he notices nothing. Martin finishes the service, his heart hammering. The folder presses against his chest like stolen fire. After work, he meets Joseph at the porter's small apartment. They spread the documents across the kitchen table. Bank statements, transfer records, letters with official letterheads. Everything looks legitimate. Martin's hope begins to fade, but Joseph peers closely at one of the signatures. "Look at this," he says. "The ink color is slightly different, and the pen pressure is inconsistent." Martin looks. He cannot see what Joseph sees. "We need an expert," Joseph says. "I know someone. A forensic document examiner, retired police investigator. He owes me a favor from 30 years ago." They package the documents carefully and take them to the expert the next morning. Mr. Kolar is an old man, almost 80, but his eyes are sharp behind thick glasses. He examines the papers under magnifying equipment. He tests the ink with chemicals. He measures and compares and scrutinizes. After 3 hours, he looks up. These are very good forgeries, but they are forgeries nonetheless. "How can you tell?" Martin asks. "Multiple indicators," Mr. Kolar explains. "The paper is correct for the time period, but the aging is artificial. Chemical accelerants were used. The signatures are traced, not original. You can see microscopic hesitation marks. And most damning, 2 of these documents reference a bank that did not exist until 3 years after the date on the letterhead." "Can you prove this in court?" Martin asks. "Absolutely," Mr. Kolar says. "I can provide expert testimony. Written analysis. These documents would not withstand professional scrutiny for 5 minutes." Martin feels relief flood through him. He was right. Daniel was lying. Clara's father is innocent, but they need to tell Clara carefully. She is already fragile. This information needs to be delivered with sensitivity and support. Martin calls her. "Clara, I need to see you. Tonight. It is important." "I told you I need space," she says. "I found proof," Martin says. "Proof that the documents are fake. That Daniel lied." Silence on the other end. Then, "Where are you? I will come now." They meet at the cafe where they used to talk for hours. It feels like years since they sat here together, though it has only been a week. Martin shows her the expert's report. He explains how they got the documents, what the analysis revealed, what it means. Clara reads slowly. Her hands tremble. When she finishes, tears stream down her face. But these are not tears of sorrow. These are tears of relief. "My father," she whispers. "He was innocent." "He was always innocent," Martin says. "Daniel manipulated you, used your love for your father as a weapon." "I almost married him," Clara says. "I almost gave up everything because I was too afraid to fight." "But you did not," Martin points out. "You gave me a week." That was enough. She looks at him with something new in her eyes, not just gratitude, something deeper. "You fought for me. You risked your job, possibly your freedom, to save me." "Of course I did," Martin says simply. "I love you." The words hang in the air between them. He did not plan to say them. But now that they are spoken, he cannot take them back, does not want to take them back. "I love you too," Clara says. She reaches across the table and takes his hands. "I have loved you since that night you sang at the Gala. Maybe even before that. Maybe from the first moment I saw you." They sit together, holding hands, the truth finally spoken. Outside, the city moves through its evening routines. But inside the cafe, Two people have found something rare, something worth fighting for. Now they need to confront Daniel. They need to expose his lies publicly. They need to make sure he can never threaten Clara or anyone else again. Tomorrow, they will go to the authorities. They will present the evidence. They will end this. But tonight, they simply hold each other. Two people who learned to stop hiding. Two people who chose courage over fear. Two people who found love in the most unlikely place. And for now, that is enough. The confrontation happens at the Horak Industries headquarters. Clara arranges an emergency board meeting. She invites Daniel under the pretense of discussing their engagement announcement. He arrives confident, smiling his perfect smile. The boardroom is impressive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. A massive table of polished wood. Leather chairs for 20 board members. Today, only 5 people sit at the table. Clara at the head. Her lead attorney, Mrs. Barron, a sharp woman in her 60s. Mr. Kolar, the forensic document expert. Martin, there at Clara's insistence. And Daniel sitting across from them, his confidence beginning to waver. "What is this about?" Daniel asks. "Where is the rest of the board?" "This is a private matter," Clara says. Her voice is steady. Strong. Nothing like the broken woman from a week ago. "Daniel, you approached me with certain documents. Documents you claimed proved my father engaged in illegal activities." "That is correct," Daniel says carefully. "And I offered you a solution to protect his legacy." "You offered blackmail," Clara corrects. "You threatened to destroy my father's reputation unless I married you." "That is a harsh interpretation," Daniel says. His smile is fading. "I prefer to call it a mutually beneficial arrangement." "Call it what you want," Clara says. "The truth is, you fabricated evidence to manipulate me." "You are insane," Daniel snaps. "I have documentation, proof of your father's crimes." "Forged documentation," Mrs. Barron says. She slides a folder across the table. "This is the analysis from Mr. Kolar, one of the country's foremost forensic document examiners. He has thoroughly examined the papers you presented to Miss Horakova. His conclusion is definitive. They are fakes." Daniel's face goes pale. He opens the folder, reads the first page, tries to maintain composure. "This is ridiculous," he says. "Your expert is mistaken or lying." "I am neither," Mr. Kolar says calmly. "I have provided a detailed analysis. The documents contain multiple markers of forgery, artificial aging, traced signatures, anachronistic references. Any court would reject them immediately." "Where did you even get my documents?" Daniel demands, looking at Martin for the first time. You stole from me." "I recovered evidence of a crime," Martin says. "There is a difference." "You," Daniel says with contempt, "a waiter playing detective. You have no authority, no standing. You do not even belong in this room." "He belongs here more than you do," Clara says. Her voice is ice. "Martin fought for the truth while you peddled lies. He risked everything to protect someone he loves. What have you ever done except manipulate and scheme?" Daniel stands abruptly. "I do not have to listen to this." "You will listen," Mrs. Barron says. "Because we are offering you a choice. You can leave now, immediately, and never contact Miss Horakova again. Or we go to the police with evidence of fraud, attempted extortion, and forgery. Those charges carry significant prison time. You cannot prove I created those documents," Daniel says. But his voice lacks conviction. "Actually, we can," Mrs. Barron says. We traced the payments you made to a document specialist named Victor Malik. He has been very cooperative with our investigators. Apparently, you still owe him money. He was happy to provide detailed records of your instructions. Exactly what you wanted, forged, and when. Daniel sits back down heavily. His perfect composure cracks. The room waits. Martin watches Clara. She is magnificent in this moment, strong and clear and unafraid. This is who she was always meant to be, not the lonely heiress hiding behind walls, but a woman who stands up for truth. Why? Clara asks Daniel. Why go to such lengths? Was marrying me really worth all this? It was never about you, Daniel says bitterly. It was about the company, the connections. My father's political career is failing. Our family needs an infusion of capital and influence. Your empire could have saved us. So you tried to buy it through blackmail and marriage? Clara says. Did you ever care about me at all? Or was I always just an asset to acquire? Daniel does not answer. His silence is answer enough. Leave, Clara says. Take your forged documents and your schemes and get out. If I ever see you again, if you ever contact me or spread rumors about my father, I will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Do you understand? Daniel stands. He looks at Martin with pure hatred. You think you won, he says. You think you can have her. But you are still just a waiter. You will never be enough for someone like Clara. You will always be beneath her. That is where you are wrong, Martin says quietly. I never tried to be enough. I just tried to be honest. Something you would not recognize. Daniel leaves without another word. The door closes behind him. The room exhales collectively. Mrs. Beran begins discussing legal follow-up, making sure Daniel keeps his distance, protecting against future attempts. But Martin barely hears. He is watching Clara. She stood up to her blackmailer. She protected her father's legacy. She chose truth over convenience, and she did it with grace and strength. When the meeting ends and the others leave, Martin and Clara are alone in the boardroom. The city spreads below them, vast and indifferent. Thank you, Clara says, for believing in me, for fighting when I wanted to surrender. I would do it again, Martin tells her. 1,000 times. She walks to the window. Martin joins her. They stand side by side, looking out at the world. I need to tell you something, Clara says. What? I am scared, she admits. Of this, of us, of how much I feel. Me too, Martin says. Every day I wake up and cannot believe this is real, that you chose me. I did choose you, Clara says. She turns to face him. Not because you are perfect. Not because you fit some checklist. I chose you because when I am with you, I remember who I really am. Not the heiress, not the CEO. Just Clara. Just me. And I love that feeling more than anything. Martin takes her hands. There is still the matter of Daniel being right about one thing. What thing? Clara asks. I am still a waiter. You are still wealthy and powerful. People will talk. They will question us. It will not be easy. Let them talk, Clara says fiercely. I spent my whole life caring what people think, performing for their approval. I am done with that. If being with you means facing judgment, I will face it gladly. But your business, Martin says. your reputation. People respect strength, Clara says, and I have never been stronger than I am right now, standing here with you, choosing love over fear. That is something worth respecting. They kiss then, soft and gentle at first, then deeper. Years of loneliness melting away, two people finding home in each other. Outside, the sun begins to set. Gold light floods the boardroom. The city transforms into shadow and flame. And in that moment, Martin understands something fundamental. Love is not about being enough. It is not about deserving or earning. Love is about recognition, about seeing someone fully and choosing them anyway. Clara saw him when he was invisible. He saw her when she was lost. And together they created something neither could have found alone. The battle with Daniel is over, but the real journey is just beginning. 2 weeks after the confrontation with Daniel, Victor Stern calls Martin. The producer wants to meet. He has a proposal. They meet at an elegant restaurant. Martin still feels out of place in these settings, but he is learning that confidence comes from being yourself, not from pretending to belong. Victor is direct. I heard your performance at the Cultural Center. The first half was extraordinary. The second half, you lost focus. But the talent is undeniable. I want to produce an album for you. An album, Martin repeats. He can barely process the words. Traditional songs, Victor explains. Folk melodies with modern arrangements. Your voice has authenticity that cannot be manufactured. In a world of overproduced pop music, you offer something real. People are hungry for that. What would this involve? Martin asks. Studio time, professional musicians, marketing, a launch concert at the National Theatre. We are talking about a significant investment, 6 months of work, maybe longer. This is everything Martin dreamed of, everything his father would have wanted for him. But he hesitates. What about my job at the hotel? You would need to quit, Victor says. This requires full commitment. You cannot be a waiter and a recording artist simultaneously. Martin thinks of his mother, the medical bills that never stop, the security of his steady paycheck. Victor sees his hesitation. I know you have responsibilities. The advance I am offering would cover a year of expenses, and if the album succeeds, much more. This is a real opportunity, Martin, life-changing. But it is also a risk. Can I have time to think about it? Martin asks. 1 week, Victor says. Then I need an answer. That night, Martin tells Clara about the offer. They are in her penthouse, in her mother's studio, surrounded by paintings and memories. This is incredible, Clara says. This is what you were meant for. I know, Martin says. But I am terrified. Of failing, Clara guesses. Of succeeding, Martin corrects. If I do this and it works, everything changes. I stop being a waiter. I become someone else. Someone public. Someone scrutinized. You are already someone else, Clara points out. You stopped being just a waiter the moment you stepped on that stage at the Gala. I suppose, Martin admits. But there is something else. What? If I become successful, if I become known, people will look at us differently. They will say you are with me because I am famous, not because you love me. The judgment will be worse, not better. Clara considers this. You are probably right. People will always find reasons to judge. If you are a waiter, they say you are using me. If you are successful, they say I am using you. We cannot win. So what do we do? Martin asks. We stop playing their game, Clara says. We live our lives according to our own values. We make decisions based on what brings us joy and meaning, not on what satisfies strangers who do not know us. You make it sound simple, Martin says. It is simple, Clara replies. Not easy, but simple. She takes his hands. Martin, you have a gift, a real gift. Not using it because you are afraid of judgment would be a tragedy. Your father gave you this gift. Honor him by sharing it with the world. Martin knows she is right, but fear still grips him. What if I am not good enough? What if the album fails? Then you try again, Clara says. You learn and grow and try again. That is what life is. Not success or failure. Just continuous trying. They talk late into the night about dreams and risks, about fear and courage, about building a life that matters. By morning, Martin has made his decision. He calls Victor. I accept. Let us make the album. The next 6 months are the hardest and most fulfilling of Martin's life. He quits the hotel. Joseph hugs him goodbye. Pavel and Anna throw him a small party. Mr. Dvorak shakes his hand formally, but there is pride in his eyes. You were always meant for more than serving tables. Go show them what you can do. The studio work is demanding. Long hours of recording and re-recording. Martin works with professional musicians who challenge him, producers who hear nuances he never noticed, vocal coaches who refine his technique further. Professor Heiress visits the studio regularly. He listens to the recordings with his critical ear. Better, he says after each session, but you can go deeper. Feel the words more. Let the emotion lead. Martin learns to trust his instincts, to stop overthinking and simply sing from his heart. The songs are traditional melodies his father taught him, folk tunes passed down through generations, but the arrangements are fresh, modern instrumentation supporting his classical voice, creating something that honors the past while speaking to the present. Clara attends many of the sessions. She sits in the control room and listens. Sometimes she paints while he sings. Her canvases fill with colors inspired by his music. Golds and blues and deep reds, abstract shapes that capture emotion rather than form. You inspire me, she tells him. Your courage to be vulnerable, to put your soul into sound. It reminds me why art matters. You inspire me too, Martin says. Your strength, the way you rebuilt yourself after Daniel, the way you refuse to hide anymore. They are growing together, learning from each other, becoming better versions of themselves. Martin's mother's health continues to improve. The new treatments are working. She has energy again, color in her face. She visits the studio one day and cries, hearing Martin's voice through professional speakers. Your father is so proud, she whispers. Wherever he is smiling. The album is titled Songs My Father Taught Me. The cover is simple. Martin's face in black and white. No pretense. No glamour. Just honesty. The launch concert is scheduled for the National Theatre. 2,000 seats. Martin is terrified. This is so much bigger than the cultural center. What if I freeze? What if my voice fails? What if no one comes? They will come, Clara assures him, and you will be magnificent. The night of the concert arrives. Martin stands backstage in a simple black suit. His hands shake. His throat feels tight. Professor Heiress appears beside him. Remember why you sing? Not for approval, not for success. You sing because your father taught you, because music lives in your bones, because it is who you are. Sing for him, for yourself, for the joy of it. Everything else is noise. Martin nods, takes a deep breath. The theater is full, every seat occupied. Martin's mother sits in the front row with Joseph, Pavel, and Anna. Victor Stern is there with music critics and industry professionals. And in a box seat to the side, Clara sits alone. She wears a simple dress, no diamonds, no pretense, just herself. Their eyes meet across the distance. She smiles. That smile gives him everything he needs. Martin walks onto the stage. The applause is thunderous. He takes the microphone. "Thank you all for coming," he says. "These songs are dedicated to my father, a carpenter who sang while he worked, a man who taught me that music is not about perfection, it is about truth. Tonight, I sing for him, and for everyone who has ever loved someone they lost. May we honor them by living fully, by choosing courage over fear, by refusing to hide our gifts." The orchestra begins. Martin closes his eyes, and he sings. His voice fills the enormous theater effortlessly, rich and clear and full of soul. The audience is transfixed. Some cry. Others smile. Everyone feels something real. This is not performance. This is communion. For 90 minutes, Martin pours everything into the music. Every note carries his father's memory, his mother's sacrifices, Clara's love, his own journey from invisibility to presence. When the final song ends, the theater erupts. People rise to their feet. The applause goes on for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. They call him back for 3 encores. In the audience, Clara stands and claps until her hands hurt. She has never been more proud, more grateful, more in love. This is what they fought for, this moment of pure truth. After the concert, backstage is chaos. People congratulate Martin. Critics want interviews. Victor is ecstatic. But Martin only wants to find Clara. She is waiting in a quiet corner, away from the crowd. When he sees her, he goes straight to, ignores everyone else. "You were perfect," she says. "Absolutely perfect." "I could not have done it without you," Martin tells her. "You gave me the courage to try." "We gave each other courage," Clara corrects. "That is what love does. They hold each other while the celebration continues around them. 2 people who found each other across impossible odds. 2 people who chose vulnerability over safety. 2 people who learned that the greatest risk is not in reaching for your dreams. The greatest risk is in never reaching at all. 1 year later, Martin stands in a small church on the outskirts of the city, the same church where he sang with his father 20 years ago. Sunlight streams through stained glass windows, casting colored light across wooden pews. The church holds maybe 100 people. Martin insisted on this. No grand cathedral, no society wedding, just the people who matter. Joseph sits in the front row, wearing his best suit. Anna and Pavel are there, grinning. Professor Heiress sits with his hands folded, looking satisfied. Victor Stern came, along with several musicians from the album sessions. Martin's mother sits in a wheelchair, her health much improved but still fragile. She wears a pale blue dress and cannot stop smiling. Tears stream down her face, but they are happy tears. The album Songs My Father Taught Me became unexpectedly successful. Not a massive commercial hit, but a critical success. It sold steadily, found an audience who craved authenticity. Martin has performed in theatres across the country. Small venues mostly, places where he can connect with audiences, see their faces, feel their responses. He is not famous in the way celebrity is usually measured, but he is known, respected. He makes a living doing what he loves. More importantly, he feels fulfilled. Clara transformed too. After exposing Daniel's schemes, she restructured Horak Industries. She brought in new leadership, people who shared her values. She stepped back from day-to-day operations to focus on what she cares about. A foundation supporting young artists. Funding for programs that make art accessible to everyone, not just the wealthy. She still paints. Her mother's studio is now her studio. She had her first small exhibition 6 months ago, sold several pieces. Critics called her work raw and honest. She was terrified at first, putting her art in front of strangers. But Martin held her hand through it, the way she held his hand through his first concert. They learned to be brave together. The church door opens. Clara enters. She wears a simple white dress. No diamonds, no elaborate veil. She carries a small bouquet of wildflowers. Her father is not here to walk her down the aisle, but she does not need anyone to give her away. She belongs to herself. She chose this freely. She walks toward Martin with steady steps. Their eyes meet. In that look is everything they have been through. The gala where they first connected, the coffee shop conversations, the confrontation with Daniel, the late nights in the studio, the support through fears and doubts, the choice to love each other despite every obstacle. The ceremony is brief and personal, no elaborate rituals, just two people promising to continue choosing each other, to support each other's dreams, to be honest even when it is hard, to stay vulnerable even when it is frightening. When the priest says they may kiss, the church erupts in applause. Martin and Clara embrace, and for a moment, the world disappears. There is only this, only them, only love. The reception is held at a modest restaurant. Nothing like the grand ballroom where they met. Good food, simple decorations, people who genuinely care about them. Joseph gives a toast. I have worked at the Grand Riverside Hotel for 42 years. I have seen thousands of people pass through those doors. Rich people, poor people, everyone in between. But I have rarely seen anyone as brave as Martin Novak. He was invisible for so long, hiding his gift because the world told him he did not matter. Then one night, he decided to be seen, and everything changed to Martin and Clara. May you never hide again. Professor Heiress speaks next. Teaching Martin was one of the great privileges of my career, not because he was the most naturally talented student I ever had, though his gift is considerable, but because he was willing to work, to fail, to try again. He understood that art is not about perfection. It is about truth. And Clara, he says, turning to her, you gave him something every artist needs. You gave him belief, not just in his voice, but in his worth as a person. That is the greatest gift anyone can receive. Pavel stands, slightly drunk and emotional. Martin, you used to serve tables with me. Now you sing in theatres, but you know what? You have not changed. You are still the same kind, humble person you always were. Success did not corrupt you because you never measured yourself by success. You measured yourself by how you treat people. That is rare, my friend. Very rare. Anna wipes her tears. I just want to say that watching you two fall in love gave me hope. It showed me that good things can happen, that people can find each other even when circumstances seem impossible. You fought for each other. You chose love over fear. That inspires me. Thank you for that. Martin stands to speak. His voice is steady, confident in a way it was not a year ago. I was nobody a year ago, a waiter who had given up on dreams. Then I met Clara, and she saw something in me I had forgotten. She reminded me who I was, who I could be. She gave me courage when I had none. And in return, I hope I gave her something too. A reminder that she does not have to carry the world alone. That vulnerability is not weakness. That love is worth fighting for. To my mother, Martin continues. You sacrificed everything so I could survive. Every decision you made was about my future. Now it is my turn. I promise to take care of you, to honor the life you gave me, to make you proud, to my father, wherever he is. I sang for you. I kept the gift alive. I hope you heard me. Clara stands beside him. She takes his hand. I spent most of my life hiding, behind money, behind walls, behind the fear of being hurt again. I thought success meant being invulnerable, needing nothing from anyone. But Martin taught me that real strength is allowing yourself to need people, to love them, to risk loss for the possibility of connection. I am not afraid anymore. Or maybe I am still afraid, but I choose love anyway. That is what he taught me. The reception continues into the evening, dancing and laughter and stories. As the sun sets, Martin and Clara step outside. They walk to a small garden beside the church. Flowers bloom in the fading light. You know what I realized? Clara says. What? That night at the Gala when you sang, I thought you were giving me something, a moment of beauty, a reminder of what matters. But really, we were giving each other something. What was that? Martin asks. Permission, Clara says. Permission to stop performing, to stop hiding, to be ourselves. Martin nods. I spent so long being invisible. You spent so long being on display. Both are prisons. We freed each other, Clara says. Yes, Martin agrees. We did. They stand in the garden as darkness falls. Martin hums softly, an old melody his father taught him. Clara rests her head on his shoulder. Above them, stars begin to appear. The city glows in the distance. Somewhere out there, people are struggling like they struggled, hiding their gifts, afraid to be seen, wondering if love is real or just a story. Martin and Clara cannot change the world, but they changed each other, and maybe that is enough. Maybe every revolution starts with two people choosing courage, two people refusing to hide, two people believing that love, real love, is worth every risk. The night is quiet now, peaceful. Inside the restaurant, the celebration continues. But out here, in the garden, two people hold each other. Two people who were lost and found themselves. Two people who learned the greatest truth. that we are never just one thing. Not just a waiter, not just an heiress, not just our fears or failures or the roles we play. We are all so much more than the world sees. And sometimes, if we are very lucky, we find someone who sees all of it, who loves all of it, who stands beside us and says, "Yes, this is enough. You are enough. We are enough together." Martin and Clara found that, against all odds, across every barrier. They found each other, and that, in the end, is the only story that matters. The story of two people who refused to give up, who kept reaching, who chose love when it would have been easier to choose safety. The moon rises over the garden. Martin and Clara walk back inside, hand in hand, ready to face whatever comes next. Together, always together. And somewhere, in a workshop that no longer exists, a carpenter who loved to sing would be smiling. His son found his voice. His son found his life. His son found love. That is all any father could ever want. The music plays on. The dance continues. And two hearts beat as one, finally home.